Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. We are from the group 1 with members first, Meylla Yuni Fahirra or me. Second is Tyas, Johar, Manik. Third, Linda, Novita, Siti, Sabani. Fourth, Luthfia Khofifah. Fifth, Deviana Halidazia. And sixth, or the last members, is Ita Nurul Fitria. Here, we are going to explain about survey research in order to fulfill the mid-semester examination in the quantitative research in the LT course. So without further ado, let's begin. So what I will explain is about the definition and purpose of survey research. So survey research is a quantitative method that uses tools such as questionnaires and interview to collect the required data or information from a smaller group, such as a sample drawn from a larger population for study. Some of you may be still confused about the terms of population and sample. So population refers to the entire group of people to whom a study's finding apply. On the other hand, large-scale population research is too difficult to conduct. Thus, the term sample refers to a smaller amount of the larger population for study, in order to draw a conclusion about the population as a whole rather than from every member of the population. And the purpose of survey research is to produce statistics, which is quantitative or numerical description of some aspects of the study population that are frequently used in social, psychological, demographic, and educational research, such as describing or identifying characteristics of a large sample of individuals of interest and existing community conditions, and analyzing communities' beliefs, opinions, feelings, and thoughts. Well, that's all from me. Next material will be explained by Tyas, Johar, Manik. Tyas, time is yours.
Alright, thank you very much for Meylla. Hello everyone, my name is Tyas, Johar, Manik. My student's number is 192 and 22143. In this occasion, I want to tell you about the types of survey. There are two classified from types of survey. The first is focus and scope, and the second is time dimension. In focus and scope, there are four categories. The first is census of tangible. Census of tangible is the type of research that uses the population to get the data or answer the question that you have in several research. Census of tangible covers a small population, such as a single school with concrete variables. Alright, the next category is census of intangible. Census of intangible is a method of collecting data on structures that aren't immediately visible but must be inferred through directly measurement. Alright, the next is sample survey tangible. Sample survey tangible is one seeks information on huge groups. The information gathered from the sample is used to create assumptions about the population as a whole, using sampling procedures. And the last category is sample survey intangible. In this one, researchers seek information about constructs that aren't directly observable but must be inferred from responses made by the subject to questionnaire or interviews. Alright, now let's to the next classified. That second classified from survey, that is time dimension. There are two categories from the time dimension. The first is cross-section survey and the second is longitudinal. The first is cross-section survey. This survey studies a cross-section sample of a population at a single point in time. The second category is longitudinal. This survey gathers information at different points in time in order to study change over extended periods of time. There are three different designs used in longitudinal survey research. The first is panel studies. In this study, some subjects are surveyed several times over an extended period of time. For example, a researcher studying the development of quantitative reasoning in elementary school students. So a researcher would select first grades and administer a measure of quantitative reasoning. The same group would be followed through successive grade levels and tests each year to assess how quantitative reasoning skills develop over time. And maximum researcher's time is 4 years. the second design is trend studies. In this study, different individuals randomly drawn from the same general population and are surveyed at intervals over a period of time. However, the same individuals are not tested each time. If the samples from the population are selected randomly, the result each time can be considered representative of the population from which the student sample were drawn. Alright, now to the last design from longitudinal is cohort studies. In this study, a specific population is followed over a length of time with different random samples studied at various points. In cohort study, researcher's sample is a specific population whose members do not change during the duration of the survey. Alright, maybe enough from types of survey, and the next presenter will be delivered by Linda. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you Tyas for giving me time. Hello everyone, my name is Linda Novita Siti Sabani. My student's number is 192122137. And now I'm going to continue the presentation by discussing steps for conducting a survey research. Okay, so there are 6 basic steps for conducting survey research, and the first is planning. The researcher begins survey research by posing a question that he or she believes can properly be answered using the survey method. In survey research, the research question usually concerns the people or responders in their beliefs, preferences, attitudes, or other self-reported behaviors. And the second is defining the population. One of the first and essential stages is to define the study population. It is crucial for determining which subjects to choose and for determining to who the results can be applied. And the third is sampling. It is critical to choose a sample that will be produce results that are comparable to those obtained if the complete population was pooled. To put it another way, the sample should be representative of the population. And the fourth is constructing the instrument. Constructing the instrument that will be used to collect data from the sample is a crucial undertaking in survey research. Interviews and questionnaires are the two most used data collection instruments. And the fifth is conducting the survey. After the data collection instrument is ready, then a field test must be carried out to ensure it will give the information needed. This process also includes training the instrument's users. And the last is processing the data. Data coding, statistical analysis, interpretation of results, and reporting of research results are the final steps of the survey. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you for your attention. And for the next material will be delivered by Luthfia Khofifah.
Hello everyone, my name is Luthfia Khofifah. My student's number is 192122139. And I'm going to continue the presentation by explaining the data gathering techniques. So there are two basic data gathering techniques. The first one is interviews, the same interviews that we all know, and the second one is questionnaires. It is like written form of interviews. So I'm going to explain more about interviews. Before we conduct the interview, we need to make sure that our interviewers already know well about what they have to ask, what they have to conduct from the interview in order to get the best quality, the best data quality. Because according to Fowler on 2002, interviewers have a great deal of potential for influencing the quality of the data they collect. So our data quality depends on how good our interviewers in asking the questions. And there are 4 kinds of interviews. The first one is personal interview. This is like the very basic interview where two people, the first one is the interviewer asking the questions to the respondent, and the respondent answering the question, and just like that. And this interview is conducted in face-to-face condition. The second one is focus group. So basically, it is the personal interviews, but in the larger numbers of participants or the respondents, because the respondents of these focus group interviews are more than 2 people. So this interview will be more active than the first one because there are a lot of people. The third one is telephone interview. So basically, it is the personal interviews but conduct in a telephone situation. So not face to face but by telephone. And the last one, or the fourth, is computer assisted telephone interviewing, or CATI. So basically, it is the telephone interview, but the interviewer choose the number randomly. So how to choose the number randomly? So there are many numbers available on the screen, on their computer screen, and they just choose the random number and then they call the number and yes, conduct the interview with the random person. And there are questionnaires. So questionnaires, like what I said before, it is the interview but in written form. And there are 4 kinds of questionnaires. The first one is mailed questionnaires. So this is where the form of the questionnaires being sent to the respondent through mail. And the second one is electronic mail survey. So basically, it is just mailed questionnaires, but the form of the questions or the questionnaires is being sent away through electronic mail or email. So the first one, being sent away maybe by post or GNE or something like that. But the second one is through email. And the third is internet survey. So internet surveys is very common and very popular nowadays because it is very simple, like Google Forms. I bet you guys know what Google Form is. Respondents able to answer the questions and submit the questionnaire online. So whenever you got internet, you can just answer the questions and do the survey research. And the last one is directly administered questionnaire. So this directly administered questionnaire is given to a group of people. So it is a group of people assembled at a certain place for a specific purpose. So it has a specific purpose. All right, so that's all from me. The next presentation will be delivered by the next presenter. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Luthfia, for giving me the time. Hello, everyone. My name is Deviana Halidazia, and my student's number is 1921222126. Here, I will continue the explanation about the 5th point, writing of survey questions. There are basic guidelines for writing a good questionnaire that must be considered by the researcher. That is, first, the question should be short, simple, and direct. You should eliminate words and phrase that are not essential to the clear meaning of the question. The question should be short and easier to understand. The majority of the question should be around 10 words or 1 line. Second, phrase questions so that they can be understood by the respondent. The wording chosen should be non-ethnical and oriented at the respondent with less education. The third, phrase question to elicit ambiguous answer. The fourth, phrase question to avoid bias that may predetermine a respondent answer. The wording of a question should not influence the respondent in a certain direction. For this reason, avoid stereotype, prestige carrying, emotionally load, or superlative words. The fifth, avoid question that might mislead because of unstated assumption. Here, the respondent should not be put on the defensive in response to your question. The sixth, avoid leading question which imply the desired response. Alright, next slide. Next, the seventh, avoid question that may elicit embarrassment, suspicion, or hostility in the respondent. The respondent should not be put on the defensive in response to your question. 8. Avoid double-barreled questions, which attempt to ask 2 questions in one. A double-barreled question can be identified by the presence of "and" or another conjunction in the phrase. 9th, make sure the alternatives to each questionnaire item are exhaustive, that they express all the possible alternatives on the issue. 10th, keep the questionnaire as short as possible so that the responder time is not wasted. 11. Avoid questions dealing with experiences or topic you know are unfamiliar to your sample. The things above must be considered by the researcher when writing a survey research question. As mentioned before, the language used must be short and easy to understand. Avoid the ambiguous answer, avoid the question that can cause misunderstanding, and these things must be considered so that respondent can answer well and we as the researcher can get the answer we expect. Alright, I think that's all. The next will be presented by Ita.
Alright, hello everyone. My name is Ita Nurul Fitria. My student's number is 192122119. So, I will continue the presentation. The material is about validity and reliability. Validity indicates how accurately a method measures what it is deliberated to measure. High reliability is one indicator that a measurement is valid. If a method is not reliable, it probably isn't valid. For example, if the thermometer shows different temperature each time, even though you have carefully controlled conditions to ensure the sample's temperature stays the same, the thermometer is probably malfunctioning and therefore its measurements are not valid. However, reliability is not enough to ensure validity. Even if a test is reliable, it may not accurately reflect the real situation. For example, the thermometer that you use to test the sample gives reliable result. However, the thermometer hasn't been calibrated properly, so the result is 2 degrees lower than the true value. Therefore, the measurement is not valid. Validity is harder to assess than reliability. To obtain useful result, the method you use to collect your data must be valid. The research must be measuring what it claims to measure. This ensures that your discussion of the data and the conclusion you draw are also valid. Then reliability. Reliability indicates how consistently a method measures an object. If the same outcome can be consistently reached by using the same method covered by the same circumstance, the measurement is examined as reliable. For example, you measure the temperature of a liquid sample several times under identical conditions, then the thermometer displays the same temperature every time, so the results are reliable. So, reliability and validity are concepts used to evaluate the quality of research. They indicate how well a method, technique, or test measures something. Reliability is about the consistency of a measure, and validity is about the accuracy of a measure. Reliability and validity are closely related, but they mean different things. A measurement can be reliable without being valid. However, if a measurement is valid, it is usually also reliable. Then, there are 5 potential problems influence the validity of a questionnaire. The first one is respondents often report what they think is true but is not, or what they wish was true whether or not that is the case. In addition, direct observation of a random sample of respondents is a good way to learn whether what they report is or isn't correct. Then the second is respondents may give untrue answers that are more socially acceptable than what is actually the case. Then the third is respondents may give a response that they think the researcher wants to hear. Then the fourth is in interviews, respondents with little or no interest in the topic of the research may give offhand, thoughtless responses just to get the investigator off their back. And the last is respondents who are not sure their anonymity is assured may give safe answers. I think that's all from me. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alright, so that's all from Group 1. We are so sorry if there are any mistakes and shortcomings. And thank you so much for your kind attention. If you have any question, please. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.